So in Hawaii, it's often not what you know, but who you know. And the thing is, you never know who knows who. Who knows who? Who knows whom? I went public school, okay? And this is particularly important when it comes to jobs in Hawaii. It really is about those connections and those connections of connection. So to illustrate the point, I wanted to share my experience about my first job in Hawaii and how it was horrible at first, but because of the power of knowing people, it turned out to be a great experience and changed the trajectory of my life. And no, I wasn't serving drinks on the beach in Waikiki or leading a tour group around the island. It was at Pearl Harbor. Yeah, it wasn't so epic though. And if maybe you feel like you're stuck in the wrong job right now, I hope that by the end of this video, you'll be a little more encouraged to know that sometimes bad situations can lead to great opportunities, especially because in Hawaii, it's not what you know, but who you know. So you never know what can happen. So my auntie, who had been working at Pearl Harbor for years, had been bugging me for months to apply for a summer job at Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard. Hey auntie, how you been? No, I never applied yet. Yeah, no worries, no worries. Get plenty time. Hey, how's it, auntie? Yeah, I got the email you sent me. Oh, but I gotta create one account. Yeah, no worries, still get plenty time. Hey, auntie, how are you? Oh, yeah, I never applied yet. Wait, what? You didn't tell my mother? Auntie, sorry, I gotta go now, yeah? Okay, talk to you later. Shoot. But I didn't want to get a job. I was 19 years old and I had big plans that summer. I wanted to lounge around the house all day and then go out with my friends at night, you know, every day of the week if I could, and maybe some bowling or volleyball and then close the night out at Zippy's. But the persistent reminders from my auntie pushed me to finally submit my job application. And to my surprise, I actually got in. Because forget the fact that I had never had a job before or had just finished 1 year of college taking classes like college writing and environmental studies. I had just been hired at the place where they repair the nation's submarines, and not just any submarines, but nuclear submarines. When I got the job as a summer hire, they asked what I was interested in doing, and I said, yeah, I like creative writing. I'm thinking about, being a journalist, maybe writing for some newspapers or magazines. And so of course they placed me in the most appropriate job for any aspiring writer: bookkeeping and payroll. I worked in one of the office trailers near the dry dock where they service the submarines, and my direct supervisor, Ed, who I would be assisting, sat next to me. And he was this middle-aged Caucasian guy with blonde, curly hair and a goatee. He wore these really bright aloha shirts, like the kind that the tourists wear. And then there was the project director and the boss, Mr. Johansson. He was this tall Hawaiian guy in charge of one of the submarines, which was, I later found out, undergoing the first nuclear refueling process in Hawaii. The problem was that I hated my job. And it wasn't that I was incapable of doing the job. I could do it. I just didn't care about the work. You see, I had these Excel spreadsheets that I'd have to manually enter in the number of hours each employee worked for the week. And there was also overtime to consider, but it was pretty much me just putting the number 8 for every row. And when I wasn't inputting numbers into a spreadsheet, I had to put together a PowerPoint presentation that would be used to update the project supervisors on that week's progress on the submarine. And this meant walking around to the different departments and asking the directors for their slides for the presentation. So I'd enter the office and introduce myself. Hi, I'm Chris. I'm here for the PowerPoint slide. And then they would often look at me as if they didn't know what I was talking about. And these guys, they gave the best excuses. You should ask today. Hey, should I check, yeah? I never gave them to you yesterday. And one guy would just, and wave his hand to go away when I came into his office. So I returned to the office trailer, do what I could do to update the PowerPoint presentation, and Ed would ask if I had gotten all the slides, and when I told him no, he'd say, okay, well, go out and ask again, as if 10 minutes would make a difference. So then I'd have to make my rounds again and maybe collect another PowerPoint slide and then come back to the office. And this was an all-day thing for me, walking back and forth, wandering around the shipyard, collecting PowerPoint slides one at a time. And so because my job was basically inputting numbers and waiting for people to finish their PowerPoint slides, I was often just sitting at my desk completely bored. And it wouldn't have been so bad if I had like a corner office where no one would bother me, and of course there was no social media back then. But the thing was, my desk was right in front of the boss, and so I couldn't really do anything else. You can only check your email so many times a day. And so for weeks, I tried to look busy. I typed into a blank Word document, I created tables and charts in Excel, I started learning a new way to sign my name, but it was more exhausting looking like I was working than actually working. And so one day I mentioned this to Ed, who told me, of course, to go take a walk and get more PowerPoint slides. And so I did. And I remember walking around and trying to find a place to hide in the shipyard. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I was just looking for some place. An unused stairwell, a bench tucked away in a corner, just anything. I just didn't want to go back to the office because I knew there was nothing for me to do. And after contemplating an entire summer of trying to keep myself look busy rather than actually be busy, I eventually decided to talk to my auntie about it and see if she had any ideas, because seriously, I was on the verge of quitting. And so she said to just go, and she's gonna talk to her boss and she'll let me know. And so later that day, Mr. Johansson received a call, and he was talking to some guy on the phone, and they're talking story for a while, and then eventually he hangs up. And so he goes, "Hey Chris, so that was Glenn. He said he want to talk to you about changing jobs or something. Hey, and Ed, go with him to go see Glenn." I was thinking to myself, who the heck is Glenn? Well, Glenn was pretty well known at the shipyard. He was the director for all of the civilian employees at Pearl Harbor, and he was an older Japanese guy, you know, your typical samurai style guy who spoke kind of a lot of pidgin. But most importantly, he was my auntie's boss, and I had no idea at the time that that's who she worked for, and basically she worked for the top guy at Pearl Harbor. And again, all thanks to who I knew. So Ed and I walked over to Glenn's office, and Ed did most of the talking for me, which I thought was a little strange, but he explained the story, pretty much painting me as a hotshot, and I was just bored at work. Hotshot? I mean, not really. I mean, sure, I could input simple numbers into a spreadsheet like anybody else, you know, 8 plus 4, I mean, pretty easy, but definitely bored at work. Absolutely. And my eyes started to water as I explained. Yeah, so I usually get my work done pretty fast, and there really isn't much for me to like do around here. So yeah, I'm kind of bored. I mean, maybe there's something else I can do that has more like, you know, writing stuff, since, you know, that's what I'm going to school for. And after thinking about it for a moment, Glenn said, "Kidding, let me try to make one phone call." And he dialed a number and talked to someone over the phone. "Hey, how's it? Yeah, hey, so I got this guy down here at the dry dock. Yeah, he wants some higher. He stayed down in my office crying." Hey, just for the record, I wasn't crying, my eyes were just kind of watery. He said that he's kind of bored around here or something, so, you know, I was wondering if maybe you got something for him to do. Yeah, I don't know, but he said he liked writing and stuff like that. Kidding. Thanks, yeah. And then Glenn looked at me and said, "All right, so that was Casey. He's the kind at the public affairs office. You start there tomorrow, okay?" First, I was relieved just not to be fired, but I had no idea what a public affairs office did or was, but I really didn't care at the time. Anything was better than where I was. And I don't think too many summer hires could walk into Glenn's office and ask to be transferred to a different job. In fact, I think most would have probably been dismissed or fired, but hey, it's my auntie, and she's the one with the connections. Well, it was a pretty cold walk back to the office trailer. There were no goodbyes or see you laters. No one looked up from their computer screens of PowerPoint slides and Excel spreadsheets as I grabbed my Snoopy cup and I left for the day. And that was okay. You know, it was a new start for me. The next morning when I sat outside the public affairs office waiting for someone to just let me in, I was nervous but hopeful. And for the rest of the summer, I wrote articles for the Shipyard Log, which is Pearl Harbor's employee newsletter. And that job turned out to be one of the best I've had. I had a great boss who gave me a lot of freedom to do the things that really interested me. My direct supervisor taught me so much about Photoshop and writing copy, and most importantly, they made me feel useful and needed. And through my work, I was able to get satisfaction after each day. I felt like I wanted to go to work. I didn't dread it. And at the end of the day, I wanted to stay longer, but they told me I had to leave and just continue it the next day. The articles that I wrote and skills that I learned that summer pushed me towards journalism and English and later my master's degree. But it was my experience writing for the Shipyard Log that really gave me the portfolio and the confidence to pursue those fields. From time to time, we all get lucky. If my auntie hadn't worked in Glenn's office, maybe I wouldn't have gotten transferred and had all of those wonderful experiences. And it's important to acknowledge those moments and those people who helped us get to where we're at. I'd like to say that I'm a self-made person and that I could just do everything by myself, that I'm totally capable of doing everything on my own. But the fact is that from time to time, we all need help. And you never know who you're gonna cross paths with in life, who may be able to help you out or who you're gonna be able to help out. And if you're stuck in that job that you don't like, you might consider just saying something to someone, because in Hawaii, you never know who knows someone who might have a great job that you would thrive in. Looking back, what I didn't like about the job in the office trailer was that I didn't feel valued or needed. It really had nothing to do with pay, because whether I was there or the public affairs office, I got paid the same either way. That job taught me the importance of finding a job that you're excited about. I understand that not everyone has the luxury of finding a job that they enjoy, that they're excited about. I mean, some people just have to work, and I've definitely been there. But if you have the opportunity to be selective, which I think we all sort of do in a way, I say find a job where you feel valued. You know, it doesn't have to be the highest paying job or the most prestigious job, just something or somewhere that you enjoy being. So, thanks for watching, and aloha.